Welcome back to the reading of Reclaim Yourself by me, Jessica Nuñez-LaMarre. Chapter 8, The Miracle. Jessica LaMarre, they called. I walked back, not scared, but hopeful. During the ultrasound, I repeated to the doctor, "How does it look?" "I will need to review it in its entirety," he said as he handed me a towel to wipe off the gel. I was ushered into another room, thankfully not by myself. Wayne and I made small talk. I glanced around the room. All the medical offices seemed to be the same. Bed, check. Cabinets, check. Sink, check. And dispenser for needles. I hate shots. Check. I notice Wayne is talking, but I can't hear what he's saying. I'm speaking, but don't know what I'm saying. Words are flowing with no real meaning, more to just keep ourselves distracted. Not speaking one word about the inevitable news coming through the door at any moment, but rather about our daughters, the house, work, and the property we're remodeling. The talking keeps me from the anxious feelings about what the doctor will say. Listening intently to the footsteps outside and the potential hand on the doorknob. Finally, the doorknob turns. The door opens and the doctor walks in. I look at him searchingly. He grabbed his rolling chair with no back and moved it in front of us. He gets to the point quickly. "Your baby still has cysts on its brain, and there are still kidney issues. However, the baby's hands are not clenched." He paused as he shows us that clenched means the pinky finger over the ring finger over the middle finger, and the middle finger over the index finger, which means the chances of trisomy 18 are significantly reduced. Wayne and I breathe. "We will continue to monitor the progress," he says, while also mentioning something about setting up weekly appointments. The relief I felt at that moment allowed my shoulders to fall with a sigh. I looked at Wayne, and no words were needed. We both felt the relief in our bodies. As he does in a difficult situation, he makes a joke that at least he won't have to come to any more of these doctor's appointments. Each day that went by was met with a prayer of gratitude. Each week that went by, I had this knowing inside of me that I was supported no matter the outcome. My faith was growing each day. It felt like an awakening, like my whole life I had been living in suffering, watching suffering, and told to honor a man in suffering. Yet this was hope that didn't come from a man hanging on a cross for my sins. It was hope that came from a deep, abiding faith within me. It was at this time that the faith that had been in my family for centuries, the religion I grew up in, no longer felt like home. It felt confining and restrictive. I started questioning having my kids in Catholic school. We stopped going to church, and yet my faith was growing. How is this possible, I thought? I was taught that faith is from the church. Yet this experience was showing me that faith is so much bigger than the dogma of church. Faith is the belief you hold within for something much greater. God, spirit, universe, source, whichever you call it. A divine spirit already within you, calling you back home through the difficult experiences in life, giving you the strength through the challenges, and always supporting you with unconditional love from within. With this faith and this prayer, a miracle occurred. At my last ultrasound, they searched for the brain cysts and informed me that the cysts had disappeared, gone, vanished. At 36 weeks pregnant, the only potential issue was the kidneys. I wiped the warm gel off my stomach, this time with great relief. I was left alone in the room to get dressed again. What a relief. "We've got this," I said to my baby holding my belly. I felt such gratitude that this baby took me on a journey of uncovering the faith already within me. While I had this unwavering faith, there were parts of me that still had doubts, which showed up as not telling my daughters I was pregnant until well into my pregnancy. Even surrounded by family and with this invisible support, there still were times I felt alone. Wayne, while he tried, dealt with challenges by throwing himself into work, which I did too. So these two little girls had two parents dealing with a difficult situation by working more because we were afraid to feel the feelings that may arise and afraid of what may not be. I didn't tell them early on because I know what it is to suffer a miscarriage and did not want to spread that pain to them, even though they felt it anyways. Then, as time went on, I just didn't tell them. I don't know why, I just couldn't explain it. When I found out about the cysts and the kidney issues at 17 weeks, I was grateful to the part of me who knew not to say anything. I remember taking a bath with my oldest daughter, who was 4 at the time. She said, "Mommy, your belly is getting big." I said, "Yes, it is." And that was it. She said no more. I believe she knew. 5 years later, out of the blue, she said to me, "Mommy, remember when you were pregnant with Rhett and didn't tell me, and we were in the bathtub, and I asked about your belly?" "Yes," I said. "I knew you were pregnant, but I also knew you were sad, so I pretended not to know." While our oldest already knew, with time and deeper faith, and no longer able to hide my big 6-month pregnant belly, Wade and I sat down to talk to the girls. "Girls, you know how Mommy's belly has been growing?" "Yeah," they say, looking at us and looking all around us nervously. "Well, we are going to have a baby. You're going to be big sisters." They jumped off the couch and started dancing around, jumping up and down, so excited. "What is it? Are we having a brother or a sister?" They had so many questions. "We want a brother," they both proclaimed. "We'll see," I said, with anticipation. The months of not just birthing a baby, but also birthing a new me were coming to an end. My faith was stronger than ever. On Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, 2018, I went into labor. Eager to meet my baby, we headed to the hospital. "This is my third child," I informed them. They immediately took me into the room to check me. I was 2 centimeters dilated. I said, "I am 2 centimeters now. I will walk around for a little bit and come back. I'll be 4 centimeters, and then I want to have the anesthesiologist ready to go." And in the labor room, my grand plan. We walked around the hospital, Wayne holding me during each contraction as I breathed deeply and sometimes moaned. We made our way back to the room when the pain became too much. I dilated to 6 centimeters. My whole body started to convulse. It was foreign to me. This had not happened during my previous labors. The nurse assured me this was natural and normal. I was still in the triage room. Apparently, on Cinco de Mayo, many nurses call out. They did not have room for me, and the anesthesiologist was with a mom who needed an emergency C-section. They checked me again. My bag of waters was bulging. They wheeled me into the labor and delivery room as I continued to shake profusely. When I got into the room, the doctor came in to deliver my baby, but my baby wasn't ready yet. I labored for hours more with an epidural that wasn't working. Finally, it was time to go. There we were, one of the most difficult pregnancies I had had. And it was time for this baby to come. Out came a baby boy into the world. I cried tears of joy. My big baby boy was 1 ounce shy of 9 pounds. I delivered a miracle. At that moment, I felt elation, joy, and in knowing that my life would never be the same. On that May Day, with my healthy baby boy in my arms, I committed to changing my life. I said, "God, you have given me this beautiful life, this miracle. I am so blessed, and I am committed to serving. As you have given me so much, I want to give back to the world. Show me the way." My faith gave me the ability to use the law of attraction without even knowing it existed. I chose faith instead of fear. I asked for what I wanted through prayer. I chose to think thoughts of what I wanted to manifest. a healthy baby. I didn't just think about it, I lived it. I lived like this baby was coming. I bought the baby clothes, set up the maternity leave, and purchased the car seat. I was letting the universe know I had an abiding trust that all would work out. I also took the most courageous and difficult step to surrender the outcome, knowing that whatever happened was exactly what was meant to happen, and having a miracle was exactly what was meant to happen. I wouldn't be writing this book now if it wasn't for that miracle. The change began with the difficult yet conscious decision to take 4 months off for my maternity leave. My mind was riddled with fear. Will my career be there when I get back? Will they still need me? Will they see they can do it without me? Will I lose tenure? Will this compromise a raise or future promotion? But I knew I needed this time. I needed a break. I needed time with my family. I needed time with my kids to bond. I needed time for myself. The thoughts quieted over time. I spent months preparing for this leave. They have everything they need. If I lose my job, I can get another one. Yet, what made the thoughts change drastically was the fact that I finally felt free. With Blake, 10 weeks were so short. With Harper, 6 weeks were insane. This time I felt free. I watched the kids play. I watched YouTube and learned how to do Dutch braids for the girls. I nursed my off-the-charts baby. I was able to be fully present with my kids, to play, talk, go on mini trips, rock around the block, and go to the park in the middle of the day. I felt so much better. I started feeling this space open up inside of me, this space for change. Books like The Code of the Extraordinary Mind, 10 Unconventional Laws to Redefine Your Life and Succeed on Your Own Terms by Vishen Lakhiani, and The Power of Now, A Guide to Spiritual Enlightenment by Eckhart Tolle, fell into my hands from my brother-in-law, who at the time was more into personal growth, and jokes now that I took it to the highest level possible. These books that focused on mindset, growth, and spirituality expanded my way of thinking. The How to Get Better at Work books that I typically read were uninteresting compared to these new books. It was still motherhood. Lack of sleep, wiping butts and boogers, and with 3 little ones, mom was a constant. It was hard, but this time it was different. I had a new profound look on life. The view that life is precious and can be taken away in an instant, and that there is so much more to life than work. On August 13, 2018, my first day back at work was met with a tightening of my chest. For the first time in my life, I had felt free, and now I had to go back to work. A part of me felt relief that a paycheck would be coming in again. Only 6 weeks covered, but a much larger part of me felt like I was selling my soul. Back to the grind. My eyes hurt from being on the computer for 8 hours a day. I couldn't be with my kids when I wanted. Yet I had to provide for my family. The emails, meetings, actions, plane rides, and calls consumed my life. Pumping, breastfeeding, getting back into my work clothes, none of this felt in alignment. Yet I did what I had to do to provide for my family. A part of me felt like I was being put back into a cage that I longed to escape, a cage I had been released from for months. The zest of freedom was still fresh, so I couldn't go back in, at least not fully. While my career would provide for my family and me, it would also provide me a new way of life by financially supporting my personal and spiritual growth. And that's exactly what it did. For the first time in my life, I realized I was stuck. While I would step my left foot back into the cage to provide for my family, I would use the rest of myself to move forward slowly. My hands to find the next place, my body to heal, my heart to love, my mind to calm. my voice to speak of the new life I so desired, and my soul to blossom. The parts of me not in the caged bloomed. I embarked on a new journey to free myself of the expectations of the old limited beliefs and thoughts, and to shed the skin of my old life, so step by step I could remember what it was to be me.